Starting at number 10, eating slowly. There's an Islamic teaching that encourages Muslims to actually take their time to eat. You know, slow down, chew your food properly before you just gulp down and swallow everything. This is because it takes your brain some time to actually register that your stomach is full, so eating slowly actually helps make sure that you don't consume any excess food before your brain gets the signal that you're full. Also, another benefit that's noted on top of, not overeating is that you can actually enjoy your food a lot more. And I've experienced that because when I chew my food and just enjoy it and just take my time with it, I love it more, and I love food already. Also, moderation in diet is another principle in Islam. This is something that is greatly stressed, so not having too much as well as not having too little. Not just when it comes to food, but like anything in life. There's actually a verse in the Quran, as a matter of fact, it's verse 31 of Surah Al-Araf, and it says, "Eat and drink, but be not excessive. Indeed, he likes not those who commit excess." Also, there is a hadith narrated by Tirmizi, and that hadith says this: 1/3 of the belly with food, another third with drink, and leave 1/3 empty for easy breathing. So definitely you want to eat enough so that your body does get the nutrients. You don't want to starve yourself or anything, but you also don't want to eat too much. So everything in moderation. Again, this principle applies to not just food, but other aspects of life as well. Number 8, waking up early. This is another benefit. Prophet Muhammad, as a matter of fact, he got up and he prayed very early. On one occasion, he was reported to say these words: "Oh Allah, bless my nation in their early mornings." You'll find another passage about waking up early in the hadith, and this one is narrated by Sunan ibn Majah. When the Prophet used to set out his army, he would send them at the beginning of the day. Sakr al-Ghamdi was a man engaged in trade. He used to send his goods out at the beginning of the day, and his wealth grew and increased. So there you go. This is also another passage that Muslims look to as some good business advice. Number 7, also there's a principle of disease control found in Islam. Muslims believe that this stems all the way back to the Prophet Muhammad over 1300 years ago. If you weren't even familiar with the term pandemic by now, I'm sure all of you have probably gotten tired of hearing that term. It's reported that Prophet Muhammad said these words: "If you hear of an outbreak of a plague in a land, do not enter it. But if the plague outbreaks out in a place while you are in it, do not leave that place." Kind of sounds like quarantine and social distancing. It's also reported that he said these words: "Those with the contagious diseases should be kept away from those who are healthy." Again, that's a very important health principle, because if somebody is infectious, of course, one of the best options is to isolate them so that the disease doesn't spread until they get better. There's another benefit found in terms of alcohol consumption in Islam. Not that you to drink alcohol though, but this is actually a prohibition of alcohol. Alcohol causes many different diseases in the body. It damages your liver, it reduces concentration, and it can also lead to diseases like cancer as well as Alzheimer's disease. So because of all the negative aspects of alcohol, this is why it's forbidden in Islam. Number 5 brings us to ablutions known as wudu and ghusl. These are considered to be very important aspects when it comes to prayer in Islam. On a regular basis, it's even said that Muslims cannot perform prayers with having a body that's not clean, or even in a place that's dirty. So before prayers, you're to wash yourself. Of course, it is a good practice to just make sure that you wash away all the dirt and bacteria. So on top of the spiritual symbolism in this practice, it also is a good practice to just keep your body washed and clean. Which kind of leads us to our next point, actually, when we talk about hygiene. So hygiene, of course, washing your body, but also keeping your mouth clean, brushing your teeth, using some mouthwash or whatever, putting on some deodorant, keeping yourself just really nice and well groomed really helps to reduce any kind of disease or bacteria festering on your body or inside of your body. It's believed by Muslims that the Prophet Muhammad said these words: "The Archangel Gabriel continuously ordered me to clean my teeth until I thought it would be made compulsory." Muslims are also advised to make sure that they keep their fingers fingernails cut as well, because bacteria can get caught under them. Number 3 deals with exercising. Now, the Quran doesn't specifically mention any kind of exercise to do, but it's believed that the Prophet Muhammad's life was completely filled with all sorts of different recommendations to make sure that you stay active. Prophet Muhammad, he advised Muslims to actually teach their children how to do things outside, like go swimming, how to ride a horse, how to shoot bow and arrows. Also, it's reported that he himself would walk at a very fast pace, and even he would race with his wife, Aisha. There's also a lot of emphasis put on doing other physical activities around the house, cleaning up in the kitchen, just doing everyday chores, cutting firewood, whatever, just staying active. Number 2 leads us to prayer. Now, this is something that's not necessarily seen as something that can actually keep you healthy, but according to Muslims, just that repetitive physical movement and activity that you're doing while you're praying, it actually reduces your chances of developing lower back pains if you do it properly. Also, it's reported that studies have shown that doing prayers, it actually helps to eliminate anxiety, and we all know that anxiety can actually affect our body in a negative way. At number 1, this leads us to fasting. And fasting is something that is obligatory for all healthy adult Muslims to do during the month of Ramadan. Fasting helps you to balance out your diet, it helps to improve blood cholesterol, it helps reduce gastric acidity, and also prevents constipation and other type of digestive issues. Of course, do not fast in excess, because if you do that, it can prove detrimental, although there are some benefits that can come out of fasting. Over in the Quran, it says these words: "O you who believe, fasting is prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those before you, so that you can learn taqwa, which is good deeds and having your mind on God." And that's found in Surah 2 verses 183. We have number 10 first, at birth. There are some practices there. When a child is born, Islam encourages Muslims to maintain a high level of cleanliness and purity concerning him or her, as this has a great impact on the mind and the soul of that child. Now, if parents neglect this duty, they should answer before God for the consequences. Similarly, circumcision of the male child, preferably on the 7th day, is a mandatory Islamic custom. Now, that is because it prevents the child against possible infections. Number 9, we have ablutions, which are wudu and ghusl. So ablutions, wudu, and ghusl are considered as very crucial parts for prayer or salat in Islam. In fact, under normal circumstances, a Muslim cannot offer prayers with an unclean body, clothes, or having a dirty place. Muslims are also encouraged to clean with pure water and keep it safe from any other forms of impurities. There's also some practices when it comes to personal hygiene. Of course, cleanliness of the intimate parts of the body with water or other cleansing materials after using the bathroom are parts of Islamic customs. Similarly, Muslims are encouraged to clip their nails regularly, as well as shave their hair and their armpits and other hair on different parts of their body, just to be as hygienically clean as possible. There's also some practices when it comes to oral hygiene. So Muslims are encouraged to trim their mustaches in order to make it easier for you to eat food. It's not getting caught up in your hair or anything like that. So definitely you're encouraged to keep your mouth clean, have a good physical appearance, as well as use fragrances. Even Muslims look at the statement of the Prophet Muhammad that says, "Gabriel continuously ordered me to clean my teeth until I thought it would be made compulsory." Now let's look at food hygiene in Islam. So in the Quran, as well as in narrations or the hadith, there's a lot of emphasis that's been put on cleanliness and purity of foods and drink. So there's a lot of importance attached to this because it has to do with the well-being of your body as well as the soul. And Islam encourages the entire human race, not just Muslims actually, to consume hygienically and consume pure and lawful foods. So pretty much eat as healthy as possible. And it also forbids the consumption of certain foods like certain animals like dogs and pigs, and the use of intoxicants. At number 5, we have exercising and maintaining health. Although there's no verse in the Quran specific when it comes to exercise recommendations, but Muslims take a look at the Prophet Muhammad's life for recommendations. So he advised all Muslims to teach their children how to swim, teach them to do archery, ride on horseback, and he himself used to walk at a very fast pace and even race with his wife. Also, he used to work with his hands, whether at home or when he was out with his companions collecting firewood, all sorts of things. So he was physically active, and Muslims look at that as an example to stay physically active as well. Now, we talked about this briefly, but alcohol consumption is forbidden in Islam. This is probably the most popular dietary restriction. According to the health website webmd.com, not only does alcohol cause cirrhosis of the liver as well as reduce concentration, but it can also contribute to conditions like cancer as well as cardiovascular disease and even Alzheimer's. Now, the practice at number 3 is moderation in your diet. So inside of Islam, they emphasize moderation. So not too much, not too little in every aspect of life. Now, the second half of verse 31 of Surah Al-Araf states, "Eat and drink, but be not excessive. Indeed, he likes not those who commit excess." Now, there's a hadith that advises Muslims to leave 1/3 of the belly with food, another third with drink, and leave another third empty for easy breathing. And of course, when it comes to diet, science has shown us that eating too much can actually contribute to weight gain and obesity, as well as many other health concerns that come from that. Similarly, eating too little can result in your body not receiving the nutrients that it needs, which also has its own slew of medical conditions. The practice number 2 is eating black seeds. So Islamic teachings actually insist that black seeds should be a part of your daily diet. Abu Hurairah states, "I have heard from the Prophet that there is cure for every disease in black seeds except death." In seed or powder form, kalanji, which is known as fennel flour, can reduce obesity as well as help digestion, treat several digestive disorders, reduce blood pressure, treat congestion, and the kalanji oil has proven to be effective when it comes to reducing joint pain as well as inflammation. And finally, this last practice, eating slow. This is a big one. Like, I struggle with this too because food is just so good. But Islamic teachings encourages followers to eat slowly and chew properly before swallowing, because it takes your brain some time to register that your stomach is full. So eating slowly actually ensures that you have not eaten too much before your brain actually receives the signals. Another benefit is that eating slowly and mindfully helps you eat less, and it also enhances the pleasure of eating. So if you love food, eat it slow, savor every bite.
So the first measure you can actually take to stay healthy during Ramadan is by using the salt swap. This hack is actually really simple. Instead of using regular fine table salt, what you're gonna do is actually use Himalayan pink salt instead, because this one actually doesn't have any additives and is minimally processed. Sea salt is also a really good alternative if you can't get a hold of the Himalayan salt, but like the Himalayan salt, it is mineral rich and an additive free. You can always go easy on the salt in general, of course, because the key here is moderation and taking it one step at a time. Like sugar and tea, once you start reducing the amount of salt you use overall, your taste buds actually quickly adjust. Another very important step to take to make sure you're staying healthy during Ramadan is to try and cut sugar out of your diet. Because it's obviously hard to cut out sugar completely right away, it is easier to start using natural, healthier alternatives like coconut sugar or even honey before eventually turning to natural sweeteners like stevia and monk fruit. Another easy way to lower your sugar intake is to obviously eat smaller sweet dishes. You can even make baklava in portions and bake them in whatever quantities that you actually need. Even better, you can get your baklava mix in a much healthier way with baked apples instead of sugars. Another important step to take is to actually eat smaller portions of, well, any food, not just desserts. I personally find that by day 3 of Ramadan, I start to feel full after maybe the first bowl of soup. Then I feel less hungry throughout the day. You can also learn to trick your mind by actually eating the same thing that you would, but just in a smaller dish size. So say you want to eat a full plate of rice, but you actually want to cut it down to half a plate of rice. Instead of eating it in the same bowl, eat it in a smaller bowl, because then your mind will think that you actually ate a full plate of rice, but your body is actually taking less amounts of rice. So at number 7, to counter the effect of reduced sugar consumption, you should try to opt for the good carbs that will actually help slowly release sugar into your bloodstream and keep your energy levels steadier without spiking your sugar levels. And while I limit my carbs, every now and then I obviously indulge in good carbs. So you can do so as well. These include fruits, sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, and whole grains and oats. For instance, I often use quinoa instead of white rice to make amazing koshari recipes, as well as whole grain pasta to substitute for white pasta, and also whole wheat bread to substitute white bread. Another thing you may find really helpful is adding nuts to your diet, as they are highly nutritious. So snacking on them is actually not a bad idea. They can easily add crunch to your meals, and you can add them to things like oatmeal, yogurt, salads, or even steamed vegetables. Sprinkling some of these crushed nuts on your meals can actually bring life to your meal and add nutritional value to them. So number 5 is actually eliminating fried foods. So I know a lot of you guys are probably a huge fan of the deep fryer, or you might even pull it out once in a while, but there's hope for all of us. So the obvious recommended step to take here would be to bake your food instead of frying it. For example, you can just bake your samosas in the oven. All you need for that is a baking tray with a wire rack, or if you don't have one, you can even place your samosas on an elevated rack over a baking tray. Baked kebab is also a treat instead of frying it. But if all else fails, you can always try to pan fry your food or even invest in an air fryer where your food will taste just as good as actual fried food but have so much more nutritional value. Number 4 is incorporating more good oils in your recipes. So I personally like using more extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, and coconut oil to make up for the fact that I'm not using the bad oils for my body. You want to make sure that you have a higher smoking point, because the higher smoking point, the better the oil actually is for you, since overheating oils take away beneficial nutrients and produce harmful free radicals in your body. So number 3, another obvious healthy step to take is adding leafy greens to your diet. Spinach, chard, collard, lettuce, and rocket are great options. These greens not only add color to your plate, but also can be loaded with vitamins, minerals, and fibers. Eating a diet rich in leafy greens can actually offer numerous health benefits, including reduced risk of obesity, heart disease, high blood pressure, and even better mental health. In fact, it's actually been recently discovered that the vitamin E and K, as well as the calcium and iron found in these leafy greens, can actually bring about great benefits to those suffering dementia. Number 2, another very important step to take is to increase fluid intake after breaking your fast. And I know this is probably the hardest one to do, because I personally even struggle to actually make sure I'm getting enough fluids after my fast is broken. Fluid obviously helps you to stay healthy and energized, and it also controls body temperature, aids digestion, and gets rid of waste and keeps your bowels regular. So it's fair to say that it's very, very important. If your body's in desperate dehydration, you'll probably notice some specific indications that you need more fluid, such as induced thirst, dry lips and mouth, tiredness, irritability, and even low blood pressure. So keep drinking that water and soup after your fast. Last step that you should take to stay healthy is actually one that surprises some people, because a lot of people neglect exercise during the holy month of Ramadan. But surprise, surprise, it's actually very important to maintain a workout routine during Ramadan, because doing so will keep your energy levels up, keep your mind clear, and your metabolism stable, which is something that you really need to make sure of. So the holy month should not be when you give up on your fitness goals. If anything, it should actually be a month where you strengthen your body so you have better capability to achieve higher fitness goals after the month is over. During the month though, there are certain times that are recommended to actually work out to make sure your body gets the greatest benefit. Overall, you should be cutting down your routine to 2 cardio sessions a week throughout the holy month. One of the best options is to work out 90 minutes before sunset. A light workout towards the cooler part of the day will mean you can soon replenish yourself with water and also reap the benefits of exercising on an empty stomach. However, any workout done during this time should be low-key with more resistance training, low repetitions, and weights, and obviously lots of stretching. While cardio can be a little difficult with an emptier stomach, a workout an hour after iftar is actually a good time for weight training. On the days you plan to exercise after your meal, you may want to add in a little bit of extra food to fuel your body, and also ensure you drink plenty of water to rehydrate. For early risers, the best time to work out may be just before your morning suhoor. This way you will have energy from the previous night's meal and still get the benefits of exercising on an empty stomach.
Starting at number 10, we have eating in moderation. The Prophet Muhammad really stressed the practice of eating less to prevent sickness as well as disease. And the Islamic practice of eating in moderation, it suggests that your stomach should be filled about 1/3 with food and 1/3 with liquid and 1/3 with breath. And if we look, within the past 20 years, studies have shown that mindful eating can help you reduce overeating as well as binge eating. You know, when we have those cravings, we just want to keep on eating. It helps to lose weight, reduce your BMI, and also cope with stress and anxiety. Next up, at number 9, eating slowly, not just in moderation, but also taking your time to eat your food and to chew it. Now, it has been narrated that the Prophet Muhammad was a strong advocate for people eating and taking their time, eating slowly. It really helps with the digestive process. Science tells us today that it takes about 20 minutes for the body to tell your brain that we are full. Eating slowly helps digest the food because when you chew your food efficiently, it doesn't require so much energy of the body and the muscles in your stomach and intestines to work to break down the food because you've chewed it, you've taken your time, so it really helps your body out a lot. Number 8 brings us to fasting. There's a lot of studies now about fasting and the importance of fasting and how it impacts our health. The Prophet Muhammad is somebody that would actually fast not just during the month of Ramadan, but also he would fast on Mondays and Thursdays, and even on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of every single Islamic month. Now, intermittent fasting, it's a new trend. It has increasingly been becoming a lot more popular because people are now aware of the benefits of the body. Fasting helps with weight loss, it improves insulin sensitivity, it really helps to bring up your metabolism, and it actually helps to reduce hunger so we can reduce some of those hunger cravings that I was just talking about a little earlier. Another benefit is that it actually helps to boost your immune system. Number 7, here's an interesting one, male circumcision. Well, not interesting, but I'm sure a lot of you didn't realize that this would be something that we'll be talking about in this episode. But in Islam, it's actually compulsory for all Muslim males to be circumcised. And then according to the website webmd.com, male circumcision has quite a bit of benefits. It helps reduce the risk of urinary tract infection. It reduces the risk of sexually transmitted diseases in men. It also helps prevent penile cancer, among other benefits. Another health practice in this episode is eating black seeds. Islamic teachings say that eating black seeds should actually be a part of someone's daily diet. According to the Islamic writings of the Hadith, Abu Huraira, he stated this: I've heard from Prophet Muhammad that there is a cure for every disease in black seeds except death. So whether it's in a seed or powder form, the seed of kalonji, it actually can reduce obesity and help your digestive system, and also reduce blood pressure and treat congestion in the body. Also, kalonji oil can help to reduce pain and inflammation. At number 5, we have honey to treat infections. In verse 69 of Surah 16 in the Quran, it mentions that honey is a source of healing for mankind. And specifically taken from the Quran, it goes as follows: Then eat from all the fruits and follow the ways of your Lord laid down for you. There emerges from their bellies a drink, varying in colors, in which there is healing for people. Indeed, that is a sign for a people who give thought. And this is in reference to honey. Honey offers a great antioxidant and immune boosting properties for our bodies, and it not only helps to fight off infections in our bodies, but it also helps tissue to heal. Not to mention, it can reduce your risk of getting the cold or the flu, and also treat acne. Number 4, brushing your teeth. This one is a given, even without knowing that Prophet Muhammad used to practice this. Prophet Muhammad, he encouraged his followers to use a twig siwak because it helps to cleanse the mouth. And this is also specifically mentioned in the hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari. And of course, as we all know today, brushing your teeth really helps to clean the food that builds up on our teeth, and it helps to prevent our teeth from decaying. It helps the gums not get infected, and we don't have to walk around with stinky bad breath. Number 3, taking a nap in midday. I know some of us would love this, especially if you're at work and it's a long, busy, stressful day. Taking a brief rest or nap at midday, it's something that's actually mentioned in the hadith, and it's recorded that the Prophet Muhammad had this to say: do Qailula because the devil does not rest. And it was also narrated from Ibn Abbas that the Prophet Muhammad said these words: seek help by eating suhoor for fasting that day, and by taking a brief rest at midday for praying at night. So the Prophet Muhammad actually practiced this. He would sleep during the day, and he urged Muslims to do the same. You'll also now find a lot more health professionals saying that taking a nap, known as a brief power nap or something during the days, actually can help increase your productivity. Okay, number 2, this one was also a pretty interesting one, sleeping on your right side and also ablution. In Islamic culture, sleeping on your right side, especially in the early stages of sleep, is actually recommended according to the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. It was a custom of the Prophet Muhammad that when he slept at nights, he would actually sleep on the right side on a pretty hard bed. So having a firm surface to lie on is pretty important here too. It's reported that the Prophet Muhammad had said these words: "Before sleep, abstain as ablution for prayer, then lie down by the right side." And apparently sleeping on your right side is also good for digestion and blood circulation, since both the heart and the stomach, that are important internal organs, located on the left side of the body. And then sleeping on your right side is so that they don't undergo any sort of physical stress. And then finally we reach to number 1, and this has to do with mental health. The Prophet Muhammad taught his followers to have a peaceful mind through acceptance in life changes. He actually warned them not to be all wrapped up in anxiety and depression or anger at all. It's reported that Prophet Muhammad had these words to say. A man said to the Prophet, "Give me advice." The Prophet said, "Do not get angry." The man asked repeatedly, and the Prophet answered each time, "Do not get angry." Prophet Muhammad knew that if a person controlled his anger, he would be able to control everything else. This is why the Prophet mentioned in another hadith, the powerful man is not the one who can wrestle, but the powerful man is the one who can control himself at the time of anger. Anger opens a whole lot of doors to various different bad qualities, and also health studies have shown that anger can raise your chances of getting a stroke or also a heart attack, and it also weakens your immune system. So really taking control of your mental health helps your physical health as well.